People, another information just dropped now. And that information is all about the Biafran delegate. What I'm telling you now, or what I'm talking to you now, rather, it is happening live in Washington, in the private mansion of Mazi Donald J. Trump. Biafra sent the delegates, and they are having a closed-door meetings with the Oga, pata of them all, our Oga on top. You may think it's a joke. It's not a joke. Go visit your local newspaper online. You will find out the information is right before there. Right before your very own eyes. Daily Post, Daily Trust, Vanguard, Sahara Reporters, including New Nation newspaper and New Hemisphere. This message is right before them here. Anything that got them to publish it, my brother, just know it that anyway, I know say they are looking for engagement, sure. But anything that will make them to publish this kind of news, my brother, it is real. Let me play some recorded clip for you so that you get to understand that it is authentic and legal. I don't want to take much of your time. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are hearing me from. Let me just play a short clip, and then I come back to make one or two comments before I allow you to listen to the whole clip. Oh yeah?
Omo, what is going on again inside this country? Them say wonders shall never end, but the ones happening inside Nigeria don't pass double track. Welcome to another heavy, mind-blowing analysis where we unpack the truth, scatter the propaganda, and look straight into the core of the political waves shaking the entire space. If you think you have seen it all, just hold your drink first, sit down tightly, and look at what is playing out on the international scene and right inside our local backyards. My people, I greet you specially. I am your anchor, David, and this is your go-to space for raw, deep, and unfiltered analysis of the biggest news stories affecting our collective existence. Today, we are diving headfirst into an extraordinary cocktail of major political, legal, and cultural developments that have left everyone talking. We are breaking down the massive diplomatic ripples caused by a private, high-level private meeting between top Biafran delegates and United States political figures at Lago, the heavy legal calculations surrounding the continuous detention of Nnamdi Kanu as we look toward the upcoming 2027 general elections, and finally, the intense cultural clash happening right now in Anambra State over the strict enforcement of controversial burial laws. Let us start with what is undeniably the biggest international headline making the rounds right now. Reports emerging from the United States indicate that cabinet members and top delegates of the Biafra Republic government in exile, an administration led by the democratically elected Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, have successfully held a significant private meeting with political figures tied directly to the highest levels of American governance, including former US President Donald Trump, at his private estate. Abeg, make we pause first. Break it down into local terms for a layman to understand. Imagine say you be ordinary person for village. You dey try settle boundary matter with your neighbor. Then suddenly you see say your representative dey inside the main parlor of the biggest landlord for overseas. Then they drink pure palm wine and discuss your matter. It means the level don't change completely. People dey look and say this one no be small play at all. Na big weight political move. This crucial gathering took place at Lago, the private residence and exclusive club of Donald Trump in Palm Beach, Florida. Political commentators, international observers, and seasoned analysts are heavily focusing on this date, pointing out that this development represents an unprecedented leap in the diplomatic engagement strategy of the movement. The delegates did not just happen to wander into Florida. They intentionally attended a high-profile birthday event organized for Congressman Ronnie Jackson. For those who track global politics, Congressman Jackson is not a minor figure. He is widely recognized as a highly influential voice in African policy discussions within the United States legislature. During this exclusive event, which Donald Trump acknowledged publicly, the Biafran Republic government in exile succeeded in elevating their core mission to the forefront. They held direct discussions regarding the ongoing, highly contentious case of Nnamdi Kanu and the broader agenda for Biafra restoration. The primary objective behind this high-level networking is clear. The Biafran Republic government in exile is systematically working to secure tangible institutional and political support from the most powerful political actors in the Western world. The reaction on the ground back home is just pure electrical fire. People are shouting, some are dancing, others are scratching their heads in pure confusion. The thing they sweet some people for body like hot afternoon overall, while some others are looking the matter with side eye. But the truth is, whether you like the faces of the people who went there or you do not, you cannot deny that putting such a heavy local issue on the table of a global superpower is an extraordinary feat that changes the entire political equation.
This development serves as a critical turning point for the entire audience. Experienced political analysts are currently arguing that for the movement to achieve long-term structural success, everyday supporters must learn to look past personal feelings toward individual leaders within the Biafra Republic government in exile. Instead, the focus must remain resolutely on the ultimate geopolitical goals of the region. Personalities will always spark debate, but the institutional breakthroughs being forged on the international stage are what truly shape the future of nations. Moving away from the international corridors of Florida, let us bring our analytical focus back to the intense legal and electoral battlefield within Nigeria itself. Aloy Ejimako, the lead counsel to the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, recently sparked intense public debate with his commentary on his client's prolonged legal ordeal. Ejimako publicly suggested that the entire Igbo electorate would remember the long-term detention of Nnamdi Kanu when the time comes to cast their ballots in the upcoming 2027 general elections. Kai, when I hear this one, I just laugh small laugh. This one are what we call political calculations mixed with everyday reality. The lawyer is trying to use the anger of the voters as a heavy bargaining chip, telling the authorities that if they keep their leader behind bars, the people will show them pepper at the polling units. It sounds like a perfect strategy on paper, but when you look at the real way Nigerian politics operates, you will see that the ground is slippery. When you analyze the hard facts of Nigerian electoral history and systemic structures, a completely different reality emerges. A vast majority of seasoned political observers and strategic commentators are arguing that the eventual release of Nnamdi Kanu is not and will likely never be directly tied to the outcome of the 2027 elections. The cold, hard political truth is that the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, does not structurally depend on the votes of the southeastern region to win a national presidential election. The presidential election patterns clearly showed that a candidate can successfully build a winning majority coalition by securing dominant numbers across the southwest, northwest, northeast, and critical north-central states, completely bypassing the voting blocs of the southeast. President Tinubu and his core political strategists completely understand this dynamic. They know exactly how to map out their re-election numbers without relying on any form of electoral pressure from the Igbo voting demographic. Therefore, legal experts and political analysts are strongly encouraging the public not to falsely assume that regular electoral timelines or voting threats alone will be enough to force the government's hand regarding Kanu's release. The resolution of such a high-stakes case relies far more on complex judicial maneuvers, international diplomatic pressure, and executive discretion than on regional ballots. To truly understand how these big political theories affect the everyday lives of ordinary citizens, let me tell you a story about a family living in a bustling town in the heart of the southeast. Let us look at the lives of a progressive family in a town like Ekulobia. Think of an energetic man named Kenechukwu, who runs a busy electronics shop, and his elder brother, Obina, who is a deeply traditional community leader. Kenechukwu is the type of youth who spends his evenings glued to his smartphone, tracking every single tweet, live stream, and update coming from international spaces. When the news broke about the Lago meeting, Kenechukwu nearly jumped out of his skin with excitement. He rushed to his elder brother's house, shouting that the world had finally heard their cry because their leaders were sitting in the same room with global power brokers. But his elder brother Obina, who has lived through decades of promises, unfulfilled political deals, and shifting alliances, looked at him with a calm, tired smile.
Obina told his younger brother that while it is beautiful to see their cause mentioned in places across the ocean, the reality on the ground in their local market remains unchanged. Obina reminded Kenechukwu that the price of local commodities is still soaring, the local roads are still challenging, and the central government does not change its internal security policies just because people attended a luxury social gathering in Florida. This family dynamic perfectly captures the deep critique of our current political state. We have a younger generation that is deeply invested in global diplomatic victories, believing that international recognition will instantly translate to local freedom and economic relief. On the other side, we have the older, battle-weary citizens who understand that international interests are always fickle and driven by foreign priorities. This story forces us to look in the mirror and ask a critical question. Are we focusing so much on international optics that we are failing to build the necessary structural and economic resilience right here at home? Now, just as Kenechukwu and Obina were arguing about global diplomacy and the complex legalities of Nnamdi Kanu's case, a sudden massive shockwave hit their immediate community. This brings us straight to our third major news segment, the intense ongoing cultural crisis in Anambra State caused by the policies introduced under Governor Charles Soludo regarding traditional burial ceremonies. Oga Soludo come out with heavy law. He said things must change by force. The man looked the way we dey carry out burials. He said the money don't too much. The spending don't dey tear pocket. So he put leg down, say he must stop him. But my people, you know how Igbo culture they handle burial matter? Burial, now the biggest final respect where community they gather celebrate life. When you tell a man, say, he cannot celebrate his father's life the way his ancestors did, you are touching the single most sensitive nerve in the entire traditional system. Let us look deeply into the specific details of these strict regulations that have caused an absolute uproar across the state. Governor Soludo's administration has systematically moved to enforce the Anambra State Burial/Funeral Ceremonial Law. While this piece of legislation was originally enacted by the State House of Assembly back in 2019 under the previous administration of Governor Willie Obiano, it remained largely ignored by the public. However, Governor Soludo has made it a core priority of his administration to enforce every single clause with absolute rigidity. Under these strictly enforced regulations, several deeply rooted traditional practices have been completely banned or heavily restricted. First, the law strictly prohibits the presentation of expensive livestock such as cows, goats, and horses as traditional condolence gifts to the bereaved family. Instead, the law mandates that condolence gifts must be strictly limited to small, symbolic offerings like a modest amount of money, one single jar of traditional palm wine, one carton of commercial beer, and one crate of soft drinks. Anyone found guilty of presenting or accepting a cow or any lavish item faces a heavy fine of 100,000 naira, a 6-month prison sentence, or both. Furthermore, the state government has completely abolished the traditional weekday burials and long multi-day wake-keep ceremonies that have been a staple of the culture for generations. All burial ceremonies must now be compressed and completed entirely within a single day. Wake-keeps are entirely illegal. Any religious activities associated with the burial, such as vigil masses, services of songs, or evening commendation services, must end strictly before 9 p.m. To make matters even more intense, the law states that during these evening services, the family is completely barred from providing any form of food, alcoholic beverages, live musical bands, or traditional cultural entertainment to the attendees. The government has also put a total ban on the erection of large, colorful billboards, banners, and commemorative posters of the deceased. The only items allowed on public roads are tiny directional signs to guide visitors to the compound, and even those signs cannot be mounted earlier than 7 days before the event and must be pulled down immediately within 7 days after the funeral. Even the modern cultural practice of youth dancing dynamically with the casket during the funeral procession has been explicitly prohibited. To show how this policy plays out in real life, let us look back at our family in Ekulobia. Just a few weeks after these laws were strictly enforced, the matriarch of their extended family, a deeply respected elderly woman named Mama Ngozi, passed away peacefully at a very ripe old age. Now, according to ancient tradition, because Mama Ngozi lived a long, beautiful life and left behind successful children, her funeral was supposed to be an unforgettable multi-day celebration of life that would bring the entire community together. Her second son, a wealthy businessman based in Lagos named Emeka, arrived in the village with grand plans. Emeka wanted to buy 5 massive cows, hire the most famous live high life band in the eastern region, erect a giant billboard at the main junction of the town, and distribute customized premium brochures to thousands of expected guests. He wanted to show the entire world that his mother was well buried. But as soon as Emeka stepped into the village, Kenechukwu and Obina had to sit him down to explain the new reality. Obina told him that if he attempts to bring those 5 cows into the compound, the local town union officials and state enforcement agents would shut down the event immediately, and he could find himself spending the night in a corrections facility instead of celebrating his mother. The family was forced to cut down everything. They cancelled the live band, cancelled the giant billboard, and had to tell their wealthy in-laws coming from afar that they could not accept any cows or expensive gifts. On the day of the burial, which was strictly a Saturday, the entire ceremony felt rushed, quiet, and strange. The church service started early, the body was lowered into the ground quickly, and by the time the clock struck 5 in the evening, the compound was already getting empty because everyone was terrified of violating the 9 p.m. curfew. This story reveals the deep cultural friction at play. While Governor Soludo and the State House of Assembly argue that these laws are absolutely necessary to protect poor families from the devastating financial pressure of extravagant competitive funeral spending, the heavy-handed enforcement is causing serious unintended consequences. Prominent cultural commentators and traditional rulers are pointing out that these laws directly interfere with the fundamental cultural and traditional rights of the people. Burial rites are not mere social parties, they are deep, sacred spiritual transitions in the culture. Moreover, security analysts have raised a very valid warning. By legally forcing every single family in the state to hold their burials strictly on Saturdays, you are creating a dangerous situation where massive, dense crowds are gathering across every single community on the exact same day. In a region currently battling complex fluid security challenges, creating predictable, highly crowded environments every single Saturday could actually worsen the security situation by giving criminal elements easy targets. Many legal experts also believe that telling citizens what they can eat, when they can dance, and how they can mourn their dead represents a massive overreach that violates constitutional freedoms of religion, culture, and peaceful association. While the economic intention behind the law might be good, the execution feels entirely detached from the psychological and cultural reality of the people.
Therefore, many well-meaning citizens are strongly urging Governor Soludo to reconsider these extreme restrictions and find a more balanced, respectful way to encourage modesty without destroying the people's sacred heritage. Or more, this country in a real movie, I swear. From the luxury parlors of Lago, where big global politics they happen, down to the village squares where local government they check the size of the goat you bring for burial, the drama never stops. My people, let us look even deeper into this whole Lago movement, because the more you look, the more interesting things become. When you analyze a political meeting at this international level, you have to look beyond the photographs and the smiles to understand the actual mechanics of global diplomacy. In international relations, access is the ultimate currency, and for a delegation from the Biafra Republic government in exile to secure space within Donald Trump's private estate is a strategic development that requires a very sober, highly clinical breakdown. Now, man, make we sit down look this matter with clear eye. You know how our people they like big grammar and massive structures. If you see as some social media handles they carry the matter, you go think say Trump don't sign agreement to carry White House come dump for inside the Nugu. Them they play heavy trumpets, they march feet up and down. But hold your horses first, make we calm down. The cold waiting really sup for that Florida mansion. No be everything will look like gold na gold, and no be every house party be state visit. To put this in proper perspective for a regular person trying to understand how international lobbying works, think of a massive community land dispute back home in Nigeria. Imagine a family that has been fighting a big, powerful adversary for decades, and they have tried every local court without getting a favorable judgment. One day, a prominent son of that family travels abroad and manages to buy a ticket to attend a multi-million naira fundraising dinner organized by a powerful American senator. While at the dinner, during the casual networking session, he manages to hand a well-formatted petition to the senator and takes a quick photograph with him. Back in the village, the family members will throw a massive party declaring that the United States government has taken over their case. But in reality, the senator might just view that interaction as a regular constituent engagement or a standard brief from an interest group. This is exactly the balance we must maintain when looking at the Lago event. From a professional diplomatic standpoint, the Biafra Republic government in exile, cabinet members achieved something very significant. They broke through the initial wall of anonymity. They utilized the high-profile social event, the birthday celebration of Congressman Ronnie Jackson, to gain physical proximity to decision makers. Congressman Jackson is a powerful member of the U.S. House of Representatives and a former White House physician, meaning his voice carries heavy weight in conservative political circles, especially regarding foreign policy and strategic partnerships. By engaging him and other figures at that specific gathering, the delegates ensured that the case of Nnamdi Kanu and the broader discourse on Biafran self-determination are documented within the working folders of influential American policymakers. Kai, but you know our people now. Once picture clear like this, the next thing that to begin design uniform for inauguration. One man for my street, let us call him Nnamdi, he don't go buy new television just because he want to watch global news clear. He look his neighbor Uche, tell him say, look at our leaders, they are now drinking tea with the owners of the world. Very soon, the central government go pack their load from our land by force. Uche just look him, shake his head, laugh inside his throat. He tell Nnamdi say, my friend, sit down first. Trump, they celebrate birthday for his guy. You say he don't sign country, give you.
If hunger never finish for your kitchen, no let foreign picture give you belly full. This brings us to a very sharp critical analysis of how our people process political victories. Let us follow the story of a popular community meetings that usually happens every Saturday in a small diaspora hub or a local town union meeting. Let us take the case of a wealthy local transport investor named Chief Amadi and a young, passionate political science graduate named Chase. He is a man who calculates his life based on the number of luxury buses he has on the highway. He views politics purely through the lens of logistics, structure, and real-time leverage. Chase, on the other hand, is completely consumed by online activism, international law, and diplomatic theories. When the news of the Lago meeting dropped, Chase brought the printout to the local town meeting, slamming it on the table with absolute pride. He declared that the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa and his cabinet had finally delivered the ultimate checkmate against the federal government of Nigeria by bypassing all local channels and going straight to the incoming powerhouse of American politics. Chief Amadi adjusted his traditional cap, took a slow sip of his cold drink, and cracked a joke that made the entire hall burst into heavy laughter. He looked at Chase and said, "My brilliant boy, this your history and international diplomacy sweet to hear. But let me ask you, if Donald Trump decides to give you a country today, will his executive order stop the local police or the task force from collecting daily tolls from my luxury buses along the Onitsha-Owerri Expressway? Will this Florida meeting automatically repair the bad portions of the road at the bypass where my drivers spend 3 days trapped in the mud?" The entire hall lost control with laughter because Chief Amadi hit the exact center of the truth. He looked at Chase critically and explained that global superpowers do not operate on emotion or sentiment. They operate strictly on national interest. If the United States political structure decides to look into the Biafran issue, it will not be because they love the people or because they enjoyed the birthday party of Ronnie Jackson. It will be because they have calculated a specific geopolitical, economic, or strategic advantage that aligns with their own global agenda. Chief Amadi warned that depending entirely on foreign validation while neglecting the hard, painful work of building internal cohesion, economic self-reliance, and solid institutional structures on the ground is a massive political illusion. This story highlights the core critique of our current political space. There is a wide, dangerous gap between international political marketing and local structural reality. While it is highly commendable that the democratically elected Prime Minister Simon Ekpa and his cabinet are pushing the boundaries of diplomatic engagement to levels never seen before, the audience must remain clear-eyed. International lobbying is a slow, transactional game. It is a marathon, not a short sprint. Now let us flip the coin back to the legal battleground in Abuja regarding Nnamdi Kanu's continuous detention and how it relates to this international push. The legal team, led by Aloy Ijimako, is constantly trying to find a domestic leverage by using the upcoming 2027 general elections as a threat. But when you look at the political chess pieces currently on the board, that calculation falls flat completely. Abeg, look at this matter very well. The lawyer they talk say, if them no release Nnamdi Kanu, the people of the region go show President Tinubu Pepe for election. I say, wait first. Which Pepe? The same election where the incumbent president fit sit down for his parlor in Abuja, calculate his numbers for the north and west, and comfortably win his re-election without even putting one single poster for the eastern streets. It is like a man who they threaten shop owner, say he no go buy bread again, when the shop owner already has thousands of customers buying bags of flour every single morning. The shop owner go just look you laugh, tell you say may you carry your change they go. The cold analytical reality is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a master political mathematician. He understands the architecture of Nigerian elections perfectly. He knows that the southeastern region is a traditional stronghold of the opposition, and structurally, his political survival does not depend on winning over that specific demographic. Therefore, trying to use emotional electoral blackmail to secure the release of a high-profile political detainee is a strategy that lacks real leverage. The government knows that the region's votes are not part of their core winning equation for 2027. If Nnamdi Kanu is to be released, it will come down to deep judicial breakthroughs or intense international diplomatic trade-offs, exactly like the conversations the delegates are trying to initiate at Lago, rather than empty political threats based on local ballots. Let us bring this back to our everyday life to see how these two worlds clash. Imagine a popular local drinking spot where people gather after a hard day's work. Let us look at a welder named Ifeanyi and a school teacher named Mr. Ofako. Ifeanyi is completely convinced that the local laws and the actions of the state governors are the only things that matter, while Mr. Ofako believes everything is controlled from abroad. They started arguing about Governor Soludo's strict burial laws in Anambra State. Ifeanyi screamed that the governor is completely destroying the local economy of the villagers. He said, "Look at my workshop. I used to make massive iron stands for burial billboards every single week. But now, because of Soludo's law, nobody is ordering billboards again. The local caterers are crying, the local musicians are starving, all because the government wants everyone to bury their dead like they are running away from an army." Mr. Ofako took his glasses off, wiped them slowly and said, "Ifeanyi, you are looking at the small picture. Soludo is trying to force the people to save money so they can invest in real production instead of blowing millions on one single weekend of dancing and eating. But the problem is that you cannot change a people's culture by military decree. When you ban wake keeps, when you ban live bands, when you tell a man he can only bring one crate of soft drinks to his in-laws, you are not just saving money, you are tearing the social fabric that holds the community together during times of grief.
This conversation brings us to the deepest critique of our entire system. Whether we are looking at international diplomacy at Mar-a-Lago, the heavy legal battles in Abuja, or the cultural crackdowns in Oka, the common thread is a massive disconnect between the leaders and the psychological reality of the people on the ground. The leaders often design policies and strategies based on abstract theories, whether it is international optics, electoral mathematics, or economic austerity, without considering how the common man survives the daily pressure. Or more, this entire country na set no. While some people they look sky, they wait for American jets to bring solution. Local government they ground, they count how many bottles of beer you open for your grandfather burial. The contradiction too heavy, I swear. Oh yeah, my people, make we close the book for today, but the matter never finish. Oh. If you know say this deep analysis sweet you, and you want make you they get this kind of unfiltered truth steady.
Okay, my people, I don't hear the message. It is very, very simple, understandable. Now, the meeting between the delegates of the United States of Biafra / Biafra Republic government in exile, spearheaded by Simon Ekpa, Ngozo Rabweze, Ada Ame, and many more others, is taking place. And a lot of issues have been discussed, and a lot of resolutions have been passed as well, and a lot of documents have also been signed. But what happens next is what we cannot tell, because it seems like we have an ally in the lives of the US now that they talk too much. In fact, they speak rather taking actions on that so-called of a country. Anyway, my people, now here we will take a break, and I can hear my voice again when I come back. Please like, share, comment, and make sure you keep subscribing for more interesting videos coming your way. Catch you next time.